Welcome, yogis. Jacqueline here. This is a short practice that's going to focus on our neck, shoulders, and a little bit on our lower back. For this, I would suggest that if you've got a chair, you'll want to use that for these poses, as well as access to a wall. We'll begin just finding a comfortable seat and taking a moment to get connected with our breath. You can have your eyes opened or closed. And just start to breathe in and out of your nose. And notice what your breath feels like today. If there's space, begin to deepen your breath, lengthening the inhalation, extending the exhalation. We'll try to maintain this long, deep breath as we move throughout our practice today. If your eyes are closed, you can begin to blink them back open. We're going to start with our neck. So very gently here, we want to lift our chin, gazing upward. And then we'll tuck our chin down. So just a very simple up and down movement. We'll do this a few times. And really try to resist the urge to just move quickly. Instead, focus more on moving mindfully. Let's begin to move from this into some side to side neck movements. So coming back to neutral, you'll look towards your right shoulder. Begin just being gentle with how far you go with that movement. We'll come back through the middle. Same thing to the left. We'll repeat this a few more times. Again, try to take your time. Really notice what it feels like as you start to stretch and move. Maybe some of these areas in the neck that hold tightness. Breathing deeply, especially into any of those areas that would feel tight for you this morning or this evening. I sometimes forget when I'm teaching these online classes, you may not be practicing the same time as me. We'll do one more of these. And then coming back to the middle, another neck stretch for us here. Let's take our right hand on top of our head and just go ahead and get as tall as you can, like you're lifting yourself up into your hand. Then you're going to bring your right ear down towards your right shoulder. And with this top hand, it's just kind of resting there. You don't want it to be too heavy. You don't want to put too much weight on the side of the neck here. With our left hand, we're going to drop it beside us, but we want to actively reach that hand towards the floor. So really simple stretch, really simple pose that we're in. It can really do a whole lot. It can really help to release, build up tightness. Help us to release any tension that we might be holding. We'll take another deep breath here. And then we'll switch to the other side. So you'll just gently come back to neutral. It'll be the left hand that rests on top of your head this time. Make sure your spine is nice and tall. Left ear towards the left shoulder. Right hand hanging out beside you. And those right fingertips are actively reaching down. So we're creating more of this stretch through the side of our neck. And we breathe into the space that we've made, helping us to release any tension that we might be holding on to. We'll do one more breath here. And then again, releasing back to neutral. And just already noticing how the neck feels. Hopefully feeling a little more limber here. Let's come into some cactus movements. This will start to work us into our shoulders. So for cactus, we've got our elbows out. Ideally, they would line up with our shoulders, but certainly it'll be okay if your elbows are a little lower today. One thing we do want to be mindful of is really this opening up, this widening across the collarbones. So the front part of the body really expands. This is going to be when we take a breath in. As we breathe out, we're going to bring our elbows together in front of us. Maybe the palms touch. Do what you comfortably can. And so on an inhale, opening up into cactus. And on your exhale, bringing those elbows together again. We'll do a few more of these. Inhale to open. Exhale to release. Maybe two more. From here, you could just release your hands down to your lap, and we'll continue that breath into some cow and cat movements. So on the inhale, lifting the chest, arching, and maybe looking up. On the exhale, rounding our back, tucking the chin down. And just repeating that, inhaling to lift into cow, and exhaling, rounding back into cat. We'll do about 3 more of these. Then as we're finishing up, we're going to be ready to transition into a couple of, actually I think I'm speaking a little too quickly. We'll transition to a couple of standing poses in a second, but before we do, let's do a warrior 2. So from our chair, you might sit up just a little bit, especially if you're a little bit shorter like me. You want to make sure you have a good foundation with your lower body. It is still a standing posture that we're practicing. And then we'll do our right side first. We're going to take our right knee and just kind of step it out towards the side of our chair. And so once we've established the right leg there, we're going to straighten out the left leg. And you can already see how you're establishing that traditional warrior 2 stance. Your arms reach out to a T, and then you might move that back leg accordingly. So you could have it more to the side, more straight forward. You might even adjust that angle of your back foot. I'm not going to say that anything here is right or wrong. Just really take a moment to see what feels the most appropriate for you. Having your arms in a T, we're going to look towards our right hand. So still bringing a little bit of that neck stretching into this posture. Let the shoulders kind of roll down the back a little bit, especially if it feels like your shoulders are kind of raised. We want to soften through our upper back. Reach out through your fingertips. Take just another breath here. Coming out of that, we'll release our hands. We'll slowly bring the legs back to neutral, bring the whole body back to where we started at. Noticing kind of the effects of that, and then we'll do the same thing, warrior 2, with our left foot stepping out to the side. Take your time with the setup. The right leg's going to extend out, and then it can depend on a lot of factors, the size of your chair, the size of your body. You might have to move around a little bit to get into a position that feels comfortable for you. You want to have about a 90-degree angle with that left knee, and then that right leg is extended out fully. Your arms are going to come to a T. I'm going to adjust myself here so I'm not hitting the wall. And we're looking towards our left hand this time. Mindful that our shoulders aren't overly tense. So of course the arms are active, but we can let the shoulders relax here just a little bit. Fingertips reach out. We'll take another breath. And then releasing out, we'll make our way back to center. And now we'll be ready to do some standing poses. So you want to make sure that you are close to a wall. And for now, I'm just going to move my chair out of the way. And so for these poses, you might start facing the wall. We'll be turning to either side, but we'll do both. Doesn't matter which one you start with if you want to just make sure that you're facing where you can see, if that's helpful for you. We'll put one hand out against the wall, and we're going to turn the fingertips to the sides. So it'll depend on which hand you've got, but your fingertips are going to turn outward, not inward. So you're going to have your one hand up, you're going to turn your fingertips out to the side, and then you're going to start to turn your body. Now, it's going to depend on your flexibility, how close you are to the wall, and how far you're turning the body. So you might get a little bit closer if you've got quite a lot of shoulder flexibility. If you know that your shoulders are an area that tends to be tight, feel free to just go ahead and give yourself a little more space. We'd want to work on having our hips facing forward, so opposite of the wall here. If they're not there yet, that's okay. And if you are really flexible, you might even begin to go beyond that. So lots of options with this. It can be really advanced or it can be really simple. This is such a nice pose though to stretch out the shoulders. So we're going to hold for a couple more breaths. Remember, try to lengthen your inhales, extend your exhales. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm a little more sore here. It'll be interesting for me to see what it's going to look like. We'll start facing the wall, fingertips turn out, and then you start to turn the body. And so what this is it's really a stretch for the shoulder, but also these pec muscles on the front of our chest. I'm actually finding for me, with this tightness that I'm experiencing, this feels so good this morning. I'm also trying to be mindful of not overdoing it. I could probably even step just a hair further away from the wall. That's the thing. We want to always work on that balance where we are getting a good stretch. We definitely want to get that good feeling, but we don't want to overdo it. So it's kind of this fine line of walking along the edge. We'll take a couple more breaths here on this side just to make sure we're balanced. And then you can start to come out, turning back to face your wall. So we're going to come into downward dog, or it could be more of a forward fold variation. Here, both hands are going to come to the wall. We'll keep our fingertips pointing upward. And then we're going to start to just take a couple of steps back. So if you have maybe high blood pressure or maybe just any other issues, you know that downward dog really isn't the pose for you, I would suggest to stay up higher, so it's just more of a forward fold variation. But if you know that you're pretty okay to come down more into the downward dog shape. Remember, downward dog is an inversion. It is an advanced pose, although it is taught in most beginner classes. And so you might start to make your way more into that shape. Downward dog kind of being like a 90-degree angle here against the wall. And this one, whether you're here or whether the arms are up, it's going to be a really good stretch for the shoulders and the lower back. So take a moment just to kind of play with that. Any parts of your body that you notice starting to tense up here, see if you could start to soften those. Ground through the corners of the feet. Engage the muscles of your legs. Although it kind of sounds silly, think of hugging your muscles to your bones. Lengthen your back here. Feel that lower back stretching out. We don't want to stay here for too long now. We're going to start to come up. I want you to lift your gaze. Starting to walk your way back up to standing. Make sure you've got good balance here. Hold on to the wall as long as you need. And take a nice deep breath. We've got just one more standing pose here. And this one's going to be a side body stretch. So you will want to get a little bit closer to the wall for this one. Enough so that your hip can press into it. And whatever hand is closest to the wall, that arm's going to actually lift up. So we're going to come into a side stretch here where we're kind of pressing our hip into the wall, using it as extra support. It can just feel nice to kind of utilize props in our practice. Taking another breath or two on this side. We'll come out. Turn around, same thing, really simple. If you don't like it against the wall, you can always just do your normal side stretch, but it can feel nice just to kind of be able to rest yourself against the wall and then focus on kind of how it feels from the hip to the top hand. We'll take a few breaths here. And we'll come out of it nice and easy. I'm going to have you turn one more time to face the wall. And we're going to repeat that downward dog, forward fold, whichever variation you need it to be. Just to stretch out that lower back once more. And I think this is also a really great pose just to kind of put in your head. You're standing at your kitchen, you can hang on to your counter if you're in the bathroom, if you're at your work desk. There's lots of places where we can kind of sneak in this little downward dog throughout our day. Take another breath here. And start to lift your gaze. Take your time. We're going to come back up to stand. You've got the wall there to support you. Hold on to it as long as you need. And then when you're ready, we'll start to step away and we're going to do a couple more of our chair poses here. So if you will, find that chair again. Of course, most of these you can also do in a seat if you would prefer just to be on your yoga mat. Now that we are sitting, just make sure that you're still upright, relaxed. We're going to twist. We'll turn to the right. You can hold your chair, hold your leg. Maybe even nod the head here. See how that might feel for the neck. Take another breath in this twist. We'll release from this and we're going to come into forward fold in the chair. So letting the hands slide down the legs. You might hold along the shin. You could even prop your arms on the upper legs here. You just take what you need. A couple of breaths in this forward fold. And sitting up slowly, we'll twist to the left side. Again, you can hold what you like, maybe your leg, the chair. You might even nod your head here. We'll do another breath. Releasing back. We'll do one more forward fold, sliding down over the legs. And then coming back into a comfortable seat. There'll be a few options as we wrap up this practice today. So you can stay in your seat, do a short meditation. You might come to lie down on your mat, maybe with a pillow under the knees. Or if need be, you can also just continue with the rest of your day. Let's finish with a couple rounds of our deep breath, and then we'll wrap this up today. Your eyes could be closed or open. Breathing through the nose. Lengthen your inhalation. And extend the exhalation. We'll do that 3 more rounds. And so you might bring the palms to meet at the heart. You can continue to meditate. You can take a savasana, or you can continue with your day. Thanks for tuning in. Blessings to you. Namaste.